Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Anisha, your microbiology faculty, and today I will be discussing about a very high yield and a rather very important topic, that is Plasmodium species comparison. And under Plasmodium species comparison, I will be taking up type of fever, different types of fevers of different species, then their RBC sizes, their variations, and lastly, I will be talking about stippling. Now, when we talk about Plasmodium, firstly, we must be well aware of the fact that what is Plasmodium species responsible for, or what disease it is causing. So, it is responsible for malaria, which means bad air, mal air. So initially it was thought, and it has been derived from the notion that this disease used to spread or was spread because of air pollution via stagnant and marshy lands. But it was just a misbelief. It doesn't spread by air pollution, right? And what are the 5 species which are associated with human infections? These are Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium malariae, Plasmodium ovale, and a species which majorly affects monkeys, but it has been rarely associated with human beings as well. So these are the 5 species which are responsible for human infections. So now talking about the fever patterns. What are the fever patterns? How many days does it take for the fever to occur in a particular species? So it's very, very important, very, very high yield. So you must learn this. In order to learn which species causes what duration of fever, we will be discussing about a mnemonic, that is oral viva fever. Now, whenever we talk about our prof oral vivas, we get fever, right? And for a batch of 100 students in MBBS, 100 students, we divide them in a batch of 32, 33, right? And it takes around 3 days for the viva to complete for a whole batch, right? So this is a 3-word mnemonic, firstly. Secondly, we divide a batch of 100 students into 33, as we say. So it takes 3 days for the viva to finish off, right? So when does this fever occur? Fever occurs every third day. So why have I considered this particular mnemonic oral viva fever? So it stands for the 3 species. Firstly, Plasmodium ovale, oral, then Plasmodium vivax, V for vivax, oral, viva, and F for fever. So it is these 3 species which will have fever every third day, right? Fever occurs every third day. Same is the case with falciparum, third day, and same occurs for ovale, third day. So what do we call this type of fever? It is called as tertian fever, third day tertian. And for malaria, you break down this letter M. So it has 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4. So fever occurs every fourth day. So what do we call it? It is called as quartan fever. You remember it this way, right? Now talking about these are the duration of the fevers, but is it a benign or malignant fever? It is a less severe form or a more severe form. It is quite often asked as which of the following is considered as a malignant fever, right? So let's just see. So Vivax gives benign fever. Benign means the patient will have paroxysms of fever, then patient will complain of anemia, patient will have anemia, then patient might present with splenomegaly, right? So benign conditions occur. So it is the benign fever in Vivax. Then falciparum we will discuss later on. Malaria, it also shows rather a benign pattern of fever, a less severe form, and ovale we call it as, it is also considered as benign, but we call it as ovale tertian fever. Now talking about falciparum, Plasmodium falciparum. So take this last letter from falciparum, M. So with M we'll be able to identify 2-3 important points or 2-3 high yield points from this. So M stands for malignant form of malaria. Malignant type of malaria. Why malignant? Because firstly, it is a very severe form of disease, infection, and it is very rapid in progression. It is very rapid in progression. Then it leads to a number of complications like cerebral malaria. Then it can lead to some severe conditions, life-threatening conditions. So it is responsible for a lot of complications. So we consider it as malignant fever, right? Falciparum causes malignant type of fever pattern. So 3 species, that is ovale oral, viva fever, ovale, vivax and malaria, they are responsible for benign pattern, and they also have not just benign, they have fever every third day, right? And falciparum malaria is considered as malignant type of fever, right? And what is the pattern of fever shown by Plasmodium malariae? It is fourth day fever. The fever comes on fourth day. That is why we consider it as quartan fever, right? Now, what about Plasmodium knowlesi? So let's see this mnemonic. I am very lazy now. A person gets very lazy when he or she has fever every single day. So now we can derive it that knowlesi shows a pattern of fever where it occurs every day, every 24 hours. So I am now lazy. I have fever every day, and we call it as quotidian pattern. Quotidian pattern of fever. Right? Don't get confused with quartan and quotidian. Quartan stands for quarter, 1/4, and it occurs on the fourth day. Right? So this was about the fever patterns, very, very high yield section of Plasmodium species. Now, talking about the hosts. So naturally it is going to have one definitive host, one intermediate host. So what is the definitive host? It is the female Anopheles mosquito. Female Anopheles mosquito. And how do we not get confused between definitive host and intermediate host? So females usually host parties and they serve Alfonso mangoes, right? So they are the hosts, they are the definitive hosts. So these are definitive hosts. And what are the intermediate hosts? Man is the intermediate host because majority of the life cycle, their cycle takes place in man, right? Intermediate host is man. And why only female Anopheles mosquito? Why not male Anopheles mosquito? Because males, they enjoy the fruit juices. They don't host the parties. They don't play the key role in hosting, right? They're just enjoying their Alfonso mango juices. So they are not responsible for causing malaria because they feed majorly on fruit juices. They enjoy party. Whereas females, they require blood meals, right? Now talking about, again, very important one-liners. What are the vector species and which areas are these confined to, and in which areas are they responsible for causing infections? So now we have Anopheles culicifacies, Anopheles stephensi, and Anopheles fluviatilis, right? How do we remember which areas are these species affecting? So let's see. Stephen, if we see this word Stephen. So Stephen is an urban name, it's an English name. So it affects urban areas, responsible for fever in urban areas, right? Then culicifacies, this you'll have to remember, associated with rural spread of infection. And fluviatilis. Now we see a lot of people enjoying flute in the mountains, right? So play flute in mountains. So Anopheles fluviatilis will be responsible for the spread, or they act as vector of these malaria in hilly areas. This gets very easy to remember which species is responsible for urban, rural, or hilly areas. Now talking about the species differentiation and the differences which get asked as image-based questions. Firstly, it's Plasmodium falciparum. So remember I told you to take this letter M, always from falciparum, we'll take this letter M and we'll use it again and again, right? So falciparum, for this we have a story again. Fancy people, they love wearing double rings, they love wearing double diamonds, they have multiple rings, and they also carry fancy bags, right? So firstly, they love wearing double diamonds in the rings, right? They love wearing multiple rings, and they love carrying fancy bags, some quirky bags like banana shaped or mango shaped, right? Banana shaped bag. Now let's see how do we use this mnemonic for learning a lot of stuff for falciparum, Plasmodium falciparum. So firstly, when we said they love wearing double diamonds in the rings. So in the image, if you are able to see this ring, it has double dots, right? So does it give a picture of headphones, right? So what exactly is this stage I am talking about? Let us first write in short what we will be discussing about. We'll be talking about the early trophozoite, the late trophozoite, the schizont, and the gametocyte. So this is the early trophozoite I am talking about. Early trophozoite ring stage. So it is a ring stage where we can very much see a ring which has double dots onto it. So this gives your one-liner answer: headphone shaped or double dot sign seen in the early trophozoite stage of Plasmodium falciparum. This is one thing. The other thing, we have covered double diamonds. Now we also have seen that fancy people, they love wearing multiple rings. So can you get multiple rings in a single RBC? See, if you can appreciate, these are all RBCs we are talking about, and these rings will be formed inside the RBCs, right? So can we say that because we are talking about multiple rings, can we find multiple rings in a single RBC? Yes, we can find multiple rings in a single RBC in Plasmodium falciparum species. So can we appreciate this? These two rings, there can be two, there can be more, right? So this shows multiple rings in Plasmodium falciparum. Third thing, we also get this form in this image where the trophozoite stage, it is seen attached at the RBC membrane, at the outer portion. It is attached above the RBC. It is nothing but the attachment to RBC membrane. And what stage do we consider it, or we call it, or form? It is a coliform. So did we see three things here? Double dot sign or headphone shaped trophozoite ring, then multiple ring, then a coliform. We saw three things for the trophozoite stage, right? Now, early trophozoite we have covered. Now, late trophozoite, in case of Plasmodium falciparum, late trophozoite and schizont stage are not seen in peripheral smear. This is a picture of peripheral smear. So, these are not seen in peripheral smear for Plasmodium falciparum. Why? Because the later erythrocytic cycles are taking place in the capillaries in different organs, in brains and other organs. So these two stages will not be appreciated in the peripheral blood smear. Examiners might give you questions about talking about the schizont, what is the size of schizont and what do we see in peripheral smear. Do not get confused. It is not visible in peripheral smear. Now, a special thing about Plasmodium falciparum gametocyte. So gametocytes are going to be naturally female and male gametocytes, right? So the third portion, the third part of our mnemonic or story, these people, these fancy people, they carry fancy bag or quirky bags like banana shaped bag. So what is the gametocyte for falciparum malaria? Plasmodium falciparum, it is banana shaped. So can you see this typical shape of the gametocyte? We have the RBC and this typical shape of the gametocyte. It is nothing but different from all of the other species. So it is a typical feature of Plasmodium falciparum. If you are able to spot this, you will definitely know that this is Plasmodium falciparum. So male gametocyte, there's a slight difference between male and female gametocyte. So male gametocyte, it is slightly thicker and shorter with rounded ends, right? Rounded ends thicker and shorter, plump. We can consider it as plump. And female gametocyte, it is thin, longer, and it somewhat has pointed ends. Somewhat has pointed ends. So this is a female gametocyte. Pointed ends, thinner and longer. So this is the gametocyte I am talking about. This, in this image, can you appreciate this banana shaped structure? It is nothing but the gametocyte of Plasmodium falciparum. So we have covered all the one-liners from this Plasmodium falciparum, their morphological things, morphological description, right? So these all are very, very important along with the images. Now coming to the next species, that is Plasmodium vivax. Again, let us talk about a story. So Viva Day, if you have your Prof Viva, it's a big day. It's a big day. All of you are nervous, all of you have fever, right? And some of the faces of the students, their faces turn yellowish brown because of fever. So this is also a cue for you to learn Plasmodium vivax pigment, right? So it's a big day. So let's first see, since it is a big day, so RBCs are going to be enlarged. These are enlarged. One thing, right? So let us derive a important description of Plasmodium vivax from the name itself. I and A, right? So let's first write down, we'll be talking about the early trophozoite, we'll be talking about late trophozoite, we'll be talking about the schizont and gametocyte. So still remember this mnemonic, still remember this story. We will add some part to it as well here only, right? So RBCs are enlarged. I stands for only one ring in early trophozoite stage. One ring would be formed, right? So A stands for the late trophozoite. If we are talking about A, it stands for the amoeboid shape of the late trophozoite. Amoeboid shape. Let us see this with the help of an image. So this is the amoeboid shape I am talking about, irregular shape or irregular ring of the trophozoite, right? So this is late trophozoite amoeboid shape or irregular, we can consider it. And we'll get only one ring in the early trophozoite stage. Now, when we say that there's a schizont, it is only the late trophozoite and schizont stage of Plasmodium falciparum which is not visible in peripheral blood film. But it will be visible. The late trophozoite and the schizont stage would be visible in Plasmodium vivax. Now, how do you remember it? Since it is a Viva day, it's a big day, RBCs are big. And a batch of 100 again, if we divide, we are dividing them in around 33. So we have larger number of students in one batch. So the number of merozoites present inside the schizont would be higher as compared to the other species. So this is how we have remembered it, that a batch of 100, if we divide into 3 batches. One batch is going to have more number of students, right? So we will derive it that merozoites would be maximum in case of Plasmodium vivax. It is around 12 to 24 merozoites. We can get 12 to 24 merozoites in the schizont stage of Plasmodium vivax. We will be comparing all of these with the help of diagrams, so it gets very easy for you to remember, right? So merozoites are going to be 12 to 24 in number. And now the pigment. So what exactly causes the production of pigment? So the Plasmodium, it feeds on, Plasmodium is naturally feeding on hemoglobin, right? So it releases undigestible products like porphyrin, right? So it combines with some components and it leads to the production of hematozoin, which is considered as the pigment for Plasmodium. Pigment seen in malaria because of the combination of porphyrins along with the undigestible products, etc. Right? So what is the pigment we are talking about? We say on the Viva day, most of the students' faces, they turn yellowish brown. So what is the pigment we are talking about? The Plasmodium vivax species, it is yellowish brown in case of vivax, whereas all other species, they have brown pigment to them, right? So gametocyte, also about the gametocytes is spherical only and it covers almost entirely the RBC, affected RBC, right? It is spherical. Two very important points about Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium falciparum. Firstly, talking about the ring sizes. When we say ring sizes, so ring size of Plasmodium falciparum, it is about 1.5 micrometer and it is covering 1/6 of the RBC. One thing about the ring size. And Plasmodium vivax, its ring is larger. It is 2.5 micrometer in size and it covers 1/3 of the RBC. These are also very important. Which ring is larger, which has a smaller ring, you must remember this. Now coming towards the third species, that is Plasmodium malariae. So let's write early trophozoite, late trophozoite, schizont and gametocyte. So let's break down this word malariae. It has 8 letters. So what is the number of merozoites we can remember? 8 letters. So what is the number of merozoites we'll get? Number of merozoites is going to be 8 number. It is going to be 8. There's no range. 8 number of merozoites. First thing, right? So early trophozoite is going to show us a single ring, one ring. It is the late trophozoite stage which is going to be slightly different from the other species. And what is the late trophozoite stage? In vivax, we had vivax, A for amoeboid form of late trophozoite, right? So for malariae, we have another mnemonic. We have seen a lot of people, they wear mala like a band in their hands, right? So mala and a band. So late trophozoite would be seen as band form. Band form of late trophozoite. Right? So schizont, we have already discussed that it is going to have 8 merozoites. And what is the gametocyte? It doesn't have major difference. It is just going to be spherical and it will be covering the entire RBC, major surface area of RBC. Now, schizont of Plasmodium malariae and Plasmodium ovale is going to be the same. That is, it is having 8 number of merozoites. And since we spoke about Plasmodium vivax schizont, it is bigger, it has more number of merozoites, so schizont size is also going to be more, right? So the schizont size for Plasmodium vivax, it is going to be around 9 to 10 micrometer. It is going to be bigger. Naturally, it has more number of merozoites. Whereas schizont size of Plasmodium malariae and this ovale, it is going to be around 6 micrometer, right? You must remember all of this. All of these are important high yield questions, right? So this was about the morphological depiction of Plasmodium malariae. Now let's move on to another species, that is Plasmodium ovale. Ovale stands for oval. We can derive oval from this. So that means the shape of RBC shape is going to be oval. In case of Plasmodium ovale infection, right? And the RBCs are not only oval, they also will have fimbriated margins. Fimbriated margins, right? So these are the margins, irregular margins. Can you appreciate the shape of the RBC that has changed to oval, right? So this gets very easy to identify this particular RBC. It is only the ovale RBC which has changed its shape. In terms of size, it is the Plasmodium vivax. The RBCs are enlarged because Viva Day is a big day, right? So there is not a lot of difference in the early trophozoite, late trophozoite. Early trophozoite is going to have one ring, right? So the major difference is in the shape and the fimbriations of the margins of RBCs, right? And pigment is again going to be the same, brown pigment. Brown pigment. Merozoites are going to be 8 in number. So it doesn't have Plasmodium ovale, it doesn't have its own identity. It is taking a lot of stuff from other species as well, right? So we will use this as an important point in the later section. Now let's just compare all of these and summarize them in a tabular manner. Early trophozoite for Plasmodium vivax, it has 3 things. It has multiple ring, double dot, and a coliform. Late trophozoite and schizont absent in Plasmodium falciparum. Gametocyte, it is banana shaped, and RBC size is normal. Nothing has changed, right? For Plasmodium vivax, early trophozoite will have one ring. Late trophozoite is going to have amoeboid form. Schizont, it is going to be bigger in size and it will have around 12 to 24 merozoites. Gametocyte is nothing, it is spherical only and it covers entirely the RBC surface area. And RBC size has enlarged. It has enlarged for Plasmodium vivax, right? Malariae, 8 letters. So number of merozoites, 8. Right? Gametocyte is similar. Gametocyte is similar here as well. The RBC size is normal. Right? And the early and late trophozoite stage. What did we see in late trophozoite stage? Wear band like a mala. So it is band form. And early trophozoite will also show one ring. Ovale is also going to show one ring. Late trophozoite is similar to normal amoeboid form. It will have similar pattern. There's no difference. No specific variation. Then schizont would be having 8 merozoites, and RBCs, they have changed their shape oval with fimbriated margins. Right? So this was the summary of the morphology and the differences between the 4 species. Let's just summarize them with the help of a diagram, a very, very important image. Now, let's see the early trophozoite of Plasmodium vivax. We said there's going to be one ring. There's one ring, right? There's this nucleus, the vacuole and cytoplasm of the trophozoite stage. Late trophozoite is going to be amoeboid, right? The schizont vivax, big day, it has more number of these merozoites, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, like 12 to 24. Schizont will have more number of merozoites, and female gametocyte, it is spherical and it is covering almost entirely the RBC. Male, there's no difference between male and female gametocyte. It is this section, Plasmodium falciparum, where female and male gametocytes have a different shape, banana shaped. Female has pointed ends and it is slightly longer and thinner, whereas male has rounded ends. It has rounded ends, which is broader and stout. So look at the number of the number of merozoites in Malariae and ovale. It is 8 in number, right? So we have already discussed. Falciparum schizont stage, it is not seen in peripheral blood. So we do not need to discuss much about it. Band form, it is seen in Plasmodium malariae, and Plasmodium ovale has fimbriated margins and oval-shaped RBCs. And can you see these dots, these multiple dots in all of the stages? So we will be talking about these dots in this next section. So firstly, let us just quickly revise, because it is a very, very volatile topic and we must be remembering it again and again. So ring form, same for all except it is the falciparum which has 3 forms: multiple, double dot and acoliform. RBC size is enlarged for vivax. RBC is oval for ovale, and malignant pattern of fever is seen for falciparum. Falciparum malignant, right? Late trophozoite and schizont are not seen in falciparum, right? Now, next section is stippling in Plasmodium species, different species. Now, stippling, it is nothing but the eosinophilic dots which appear on the surface of RBCs, once we stain them with Romanowski stains like Giemsa or Leishman stain. What are these dots? Will these dots will appear in any RBC? These will appear only in RBCs. These eosinophilic dots will appear in RBCs of the RBCs which are affected by Plasmodium species. So these are nothing but these are membrane bound and these are present on the surface of RBCs and they are present in the cytoplasm. So these dots, these structures, they act as transport mediums for the protein transport from the Plasmodium to these RBCs. So these are nothing but the transport channels which are very easily visible once we stain them with these special stains, Giemsa and Leishman. This is what you need to know about the mechanism of stippling, right? Affected by Plasmodium species, right? So what occurs? What are the different stippling patterns? What are the names for those eosinophilic stipplings, right? So let's say for each species. So firstly, it is Plasmodium falciparum, right? So for Plasmodium falciparum, we have, I told you that M letter from falciparum will be used for multiple things, right? M for malignant. M also stands for Maurer clefts or dots, right? So these are red colored dots or comma-like clefts which will be visible in the RBCs. And these are, of course, these are eosinophilic. We are talking about eosinophilic stippling. These are eosinophilic, right? So falciparum, we have Maurer clefts and or dots. So what are these Maurer clefts? So if we see, we have eosinophilic dots which are not exactly like dots. They can be present as dots, can also be visible as comma-shaped structures. So for Plasmodium falciparum, we call these eosinophilic stippling as Maurer clefts or dots, right? So now, moving towards Plasmodium malariae. So we have this mnemonic. Let's learn this mnemonic. Mercedes Benz. Now Z stands for the special dots which are Zeeman dots. Mercedes Benz for Z for Zeeman dots. These are rarely seen, but these are also delicate, thin, red dots which can be visible for Plasmodium malariae. So these are Zeeman dots which are light brown in color, these small light brown or reddish brown in color, right? So for vivac, we have, so again viva and vivax. So for viva, we are going to shuffle the students in a batch, shuffle students, right? So what are the dots that we have for Plasmodium vivax? These are nothing but Schaffner dots. These are called as Schaffner because they were first seen by a scientist Schaffner, right? So we shuffle these dots, we shuffle students, so we get Schaffner dots, right? So what are these Schaffner dots? These are again eosinophilic. They can be very delicate, they can be darker, right? So we have eosinophilic, red dots. They can be delicate or they can be coarse in nature. And for Plasmodium ovale, since we said ovale does not have any specific key feature to them, instead of just one oval-shaped RBCs and fimbriated margins, so we consider Plasmodium ovale as a joke. It doesn't have its own identity. So the dots that we get in Plasmodium ovale are James dots, right? So for Plasmodium ovale, we have James dots, which are coarse and dark brown in color. Right? So these are the 4 different types of stiplings, different colors, different names for all the different species. So this was all about the Plasmodium species comparisons, major comparisons that we must know about. Thank you.